Section 3.5 is standard form. Our goal is to create equations in two or more variables, graph equations on coordinate axes with labels and scales. On page 203, we have, in this lesson, you will learn to use intercepts to graph a line. Recall that a y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point where a graph crosses the y-axis. The x-intercept is the x-coordinate of a point where a graph crosses the x-axis. One form of a linear equation, called standard form, allows you to find intercepts quickly. You can use the intercepts to draw the graph. The standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a and b are not both 0. So example 1 says, what are the x and y intercepts of the graph of 3x plus 4y equals 24? Just as a reminder, when we've talked about y-intercepts, that is when you cross the y-axis. In order to cross the y-axis, your x has to be 0, so that you're right here in the middle on the y-axis. Same idea goes for the x-intercept. In order to cross the x-axis and be an x-intercept, your y would have to be 0. So that is what we use to find our x and y-intercepts. So in order to find the x-intercept, we set y equal to 0. So you get 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 24. And to find the y-intercept, you set x equal to 0. So 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 24. Now we just need to simplify and solve for x over here. Simplify and solve for y over here. When we plug in 0 for y, we get 4 times 0 is 0, so you have just 3x equals 24. We can divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 8, and this tells us the x-intercept is 8. Remember that we had y equal to 0, so this would give us the point 8, 0. To graph this, you would just go to the x-axis, find 8, and put a dot right there. Similarly, for the y-intercept, we plug in 0 for x, so 3 times 0 is 0. That leaves us with just 4y equals 24, divide both sides by 4. You get y equals 6. This tells us that the y-intercept is 6. But again, we use 0 for x, so we would get the point 0, 6, which means you wouldn't go sideways because our x is 0, and you would just go up to 6 on the y-axis. Now this worked out really well because both 3 and 4 go into the number 24. You won't always get a whole number, and that's okay. The work for this problem is all written out on this next slide. And then we have the first you try, number 1 on page 204, find the x and y intercepts of the graph of each equation. 7x minus y equals 21.